If she thinks your hair has too much body or is too flat, she'll say so. If she finds a tragic incident mildly hilarious, for example, a girl on a school field trip who is attacked and devoured by a tiger, she will say so. If she thinks your hair is too masculine or too feminine, she'll say so. If she likes your gold slip-on flats or brown loafers, if she's worried you're not getting enough sleep, if she thinks your running shorts reveal too much of your thigh, if you're eating a Rice Krispie treat that she so graciously baked and it happened to contain cat hair and or cat urine, if she thinks you'd be better off shaving your head and sporting a wig or a toupee, ladies and gentlemen, she will say so. Angie's candor is a blessing, because with it comes an honest poet. A poet who doesn't try to obscure or veil the truth. Angie's poems lay it bare. They don't overreach into spaces physically or psychologically in which she's never occupied. She writes about hawks and tornadoes and being a child in a small town. She's not using poems to try to prove something, to escape reality, to claim a new identity, to seek out universal truths. Angie's poems are not about Angie trying to make it as a poet, and they don't register an eagerness to say something profound. They're simply, and really not so simply, about how Angie Hine experiences the world as Angie Hine. Now, the one thing that Angie Hine won't tell you, no matter how hard you try to get her to tell you this, she just won't. I'm not sure why. She won't tell you which state she's from. So you'll have to figure that out via other forms. So ladies and gentlemen, hailing from a rectangular state to be named later, Angie.
I'm from a small town. I will leave the state in question a mystery. It is rectangular, as Mike said, but it has, I will give a hint, a little nibble out of one corner. But I'm from a small town, and my parents owned a trucking company when I was a kid, big trucks. So when I say 18-wheeler, that's what that refers to. That's for Kendra especially, because she gets confused when we start using farm terms. And I will say things, I'll say the shop, but the building that we always called the shop when I was a kid is a huge garage that was big enough to pull 2 semi-trucks into, so it's pretty big. Grain trailer, it's a trailer that you put grain in, it's long. For Kendra. I will say 55-gallon drum, and that's a big metal barrel. I like that. I'll say duals, and that refers to the back tires of the truck because there's 2 tires on each side. So there you go. Duals. Something will become wedged in the duals. You'll find out. I'm not going to explain that. Let's see. There's a bicycle. Okay. Jesus. Mike, Madonna, do you understand Jesus? Okay. All right. So this is called From the Fire. The first and last time my mother drove an 18-wheeler was out of a burning building. The shop on fire, my dad inside trying to save the pressure washer. Do I need to explain pressure washer? Okay. We'll just skip over that one. The first and last time my mother drove an 18-wheeler was out of a burning building. The shop on fire, my dad inside trying to save the pressure washer. It was Thanksgiving. She'd come outside to tell him to come in, get ready for dinner. Instead, crawled into the grain trailer to help, thinking as she did to shut down the diesel heater, but didn't. And then the flames reflected across the metal bins of the trailer's insides, a line as if something had been spilled, crossing under the trailer, its tarp on fire now, crossing to the wall, beginning to shoot upwards. To the cab, the truck in gear, my dad on the running board, reaching across to release the air brake, and they're gone, both. She ran over a 55-gallon drum, the firemen found later wedged between the duals, laughed as they pulled it out, some woman driving. Inside, the kinds of things a fire loves. Wooden walls, blown paper insulation, tires, barrels of oil, tanks of acetylene. They'd hear at least 2 explosions. And the things they'd stored in the loft, the cardboard, boxes of clothes, old toys, books, Christmas decorations. Someone disconnected the gas lines before the turkey was fully cooked, alone in the warmth of the quiet kitchen. Our bicycles melted, where they laid against the burning wall. The pressure washer burned where it was left in the doorway. After it was put out, they'd stand on the porch talking to Sunshine, our neighbor and sheriff's deputy, who'd years later die in his squad car. Left-handed man, his service revolver in his right. She'd follow his face with a jar of ointment. He'd flinch when her fingers touched his cheek, his ear, his arm, hand. After the ashes cooled, she'd kneel in the place where the loft had fallen through to search for the nativity sets she'd made, blazed, fired. Her kilns now burnt up themselves in the corner of the shop, and found, no lie, baby Jesus in his manger, blackened, partly broken, among the ashes. Such symbolism isn't necessary to the story, but just the truth. I don't need to say she cried, but she did. Of course she cried. But this, among those other things, the truck, the washer where it burnt, herself, her husband, the diesel heater burnt up with no sign that had been leaking. That this could be among those things pulled from the fire.